students filming other students in crisis, whether it's a fight or whether someone having a mental illness, we assume that our kids understand that that's not appropriate. But they've grown up in a world where they're getting reinforcement online for posting that kind of content and being constantly told that that's a good thing. You talk to any student that I talk to, they all know they shouldn't do it. The hard part is for them to understand why they did it and what they should do instead.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
I'm Dr. Robert Sormani. I'm the proud superintendent of Manor ISD. We are just outside of Austin. If you're on your way to Houston, you'll drive through our district. We have just over 10,000 students in 15 schools.
Superintendent, it's so great to have you here today as we talk about keeping kids safe on social media so they can someday be successful. And here's what, for all of our listeners, you've listened to our other episodes probably, you know that successful means shining online. So kids know how to safely navigate the digital world that they live in, but also they're shining online to get their dream job, career, internship, college, everything that you want for them in the future in a safe and manageable way. I got to tell you, I love Austin. I went there a few months ago to the rodeo. The joke was, this isn't my first rodeo. I've always told people that. And it was my first rodeo, which was a blast. Do you guys have a rodeo nearby or do you go to the Austin rodeo?
I'll give you a better one. The Austin rodeo is actually within the boundaries of Manor ISD.
Is that right?
It is. So you were in Manor and you didn't even know it.
I think it was 3 months ago. It was a blast. Mm-hmm. So much fun.
I was going to say the amazing thing is the type of scholarship some of those kids can get for their animals that they raise. It's amazing.
That is incredible. Yeah, it was really cool. And then there was a country concert right after. Yeah. Incredible. It was a blast all around. I'm excited today to chat with you, Superintendent, and I want to get your insight. So for all of our listeners, if you see me looking down, I'm taking notes. I learned from the best of the best, and our superintendent here today probably started as a teacher of some sort, moved on to principal of some sort at a school, and now is superintendent of lots of staff members that protect children, help them to be resilient in the future, and help them learn in the classroom and throughout the world. So let's dive into my first big question for you. After a couple hundred of these superintendent conversations in 41 states, we've heard a consistent trend. We're hearing that students are growing up in a digital world filled with powerful tech, AI, and social media. Now, maybe in your community, in your district, kids are perfect and little angels running around, but in a lot of districts, we're hearing it's very normal if sometimes these kids lack the maturity or guidance to use these really powerful tools safely. The result in some cases is more student absences, lower focus, rising cyberbullying, declining self-esteem, and AI misuse in the classroom. In addition, parents we're hearing are trying to raise good kids in a world they didn't grow up in, a world where now tech is moving faster than safety policies. Teens know how to hide apps and online behavior, and safety lessons usually come after a crisis. Never before in the history of the world have kids been better at something than their parents. I mean, when you're on a farm, you have to learn how to drive the tractor. When you're programming in the 80s, you have to learn from somebody how to do that. And never before have kids been able to blow past their parents at a really aggressive rate. Superintendents, are there any trends on this topic that you've seen so we can alert other school districts before they see them?
Absolutely. And I don't think this is what I'm going to talk about is anything other administrators haven't seen, but it's something that really kind of floated to the top here in Manor ISD this past school year. It's students filming other students in crisis, whether it's a fight or whether someone having a mental illness. And I bring it up because I think your point about the difference between the generation, my generation and parents' generation and their kids, it's not even just the technology. It's that we assume that our kids understand that that's not appropriate, but they've grown up in a world where they're getting reinforcement online for posting that kind of content and being constantly told that that's a good thing. Now, I will tell you the good news is, even as a superintendent, I love getting to talk to kids. You talk to any student that I talk to, they all know they shouldn't do it. The hard part is for them to understand why they did it and what they should do instead.
Actually, let's double click on that. I think that's brilliant. And that really gets to the heart of the standby culture, if you will, like stand by and watch the fight rather than help stop it and diffuse the situation so nobody gets hurt. What would your tips be if a kid is trying to film something and really kind of hurt somebody else's reputation or promote that, if you will? What are some of the things you might tell either the parents or the kid?
Sure. And this actually came up in particular, and the student body that I talked to actually asked me for help. Like, what do we do if we sit into a fight? We don't know what else to do but to film. And, it's interesting that you have to be real explicit and then just say, I'm never going to ask you to put yourself in danger, but there are some things you can do. You can ask for help from adult. You can tell the kid that's filming, hey, you shouldn't do that. And even if the student ignores you, they heard you. And I think that that's the important point, is to learn that to say nothing is to give approval to something. And the act of saying you shouldn't do that is more powerful than I think the kids even realize. So my advice to the kids has always been, get help. And if you see something that's wrong, say it's wrong. And your voice is powerful.
Yeah, so well said. I love that. I wrote that down. To say nothing is to give approval to something, if you will, right? Or to a certain behavior that they're doing. For all of our listeners, as we host these big parent night events all over the country online, and parents join from their mobile, their tablet, or their desktop, Smart Social reaches millions of people a year, and we get a lot of parent questions. I want to highlight one of them right now. They ask, hey, Josh, what advice would you give a student to help them recognize some of the red flags of a dangerous stranger? Now, this is an excerpt from one of our live events in the evening. Rather than me answering it, let's hear from a real teen how she might help a friend recognize these red flags.
If I had a friend talking online to a stranger, I think that I would feel a little bit uncomfortable with the whole situation. I would advise against it because so many indirect issues can come from that, and it could cause something to be worse than if they had just unadded them in the first place. Some red flags that I would have to advise them to cut it off with this person or to stop engaging would be if the person starts to get very involved in their personal life and they seem to be very intrigued in what's going on with them and wanting to know all little details about what they do and who they are, and just very personal details and things that you wouldn't normally share with a stranger in real life. If they're very persistent and constantly wanting to talk to my friend or constantly trying to be involved in their life or wanting to speak to them, I feel like that's kind of a red flag. Another thing would be if they ask them to ever meet them anywhere in person right from the start, if they feel a sense of being uncomfortable or their intuition is just saying it's wrong, or if my intuition is saying something feels wrong with this, then I think that's a major red flag.
Now, parents, remember, if your school district is a current partner of ours, come to our evening events. And not only are you going to learn how to keep your kids safe online, but you'll win cool prizes. We have weekly live parent events and replays. And to make it easier in your life, we have teen-led video lessons. A lot of parents will bring their teens and sit through it and enter for a chance to win a 3D printer, Kindle, or Bluetooth speaker. We give those away every week. And there's a premium parent newsletter, so you're always updated on the latest threats and so on. Let's see what this looks like in communities just like yours, parents and audience, when you attend these events.
From preventing bullying to identifying online predators, the Lucia Mar Unified School District is working with an online company, Smart Social, to educate parents in the community about iPhone safety.
Hillary Dixon is looking to establish cell phone rules for her two teenagers. Dixon is also the assistant superintendent of curriculum for Lucia Mar Unified School District.
Ensuring that our students are using digital tools, especially cell phones and computers, appropriately is something that both parents and schools deal with on a daily basis.
Lucia Mar began partnering last year with the Smart Social team. Smart Social is a website providing online guidance for parents to better understand new technologies and safety for their kids.
My husband and I have actually both used some of the tools to help have conversations with our kids.
This website shows the dangers of apps with hidden features, helps parents come up with dialogue starters, and more.
What would you say to the parents that are scared to have those kinds of conversations with their children?
Some parents say, but my kids have the right to privacy, or I'm afraid to bring these up. So we give them real dialogue starters and we say, please screenshot these, have this dialogue, open it up. Don't tell your kids what to do. Don't be preachy, but rather ask them questions.
The program is made available to parents and families throughout the school.
Within the district, many of our counselors and our administrators have reported great feedback in engaging with families whose students are struggling with appropriate use at school.
In Arroyo Grande, Mackenzie Diaz, KSDY News.
So parents, remember, if your district's a partner, there's all kinds of great events. But in addition to that, we've heard from parents all over the country, and we've made our app guides available. So you can learn TikTok safety, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Fortnite, Minecraft, Roblox, Netflix, WhatsApp, and 450 more apps. You click on these, there's an amazing app guide produced by real parents here in the United States, looking out for you. And they're in 12 plus languages, so you can learn at your own pace. No one's left behind. We've got live events on AI family workshops. It's later today. Reducing arguments with a family media plan. A lot. If you missed that one, there's another one. There's replays in multiple languages. As we go back to school, there's a lot of AI safety and also AI reducing cheating and increasing learning. How do we have kids use the new tools in a careful way? Part of this is taught by an actual 8th grade teacher who is showing you in his English class how he promotes kids using AI earlier in the writing process to brainstorm, but yet the kids actually write their own essay. They learn how to flex that muscle, if you will, but they learn the tools as well in addition. Okay, so superintendent, I want to get back to you and ask you a couple questions. In addition, as we talk to communities around the country, great leaders like yourself, we've heard from these communities. Many parents, they say, feel overwhelmed trying to keep up with these fast-moving online trends and digital safety risks. Also, we're hearing the students are finding clever ways. They're very clever and brilliant and entrepreneurial, but they find ways to increase the screen time and bend the rules in some cases, especially when the expectations of school can differ significantly from those at home. Superintendent, I love your insight. What trends or pain points are you seeing when it comes to parent engagement? And where do you feel families are struggling the most to stay informed or connected?
One of the interesting things is, having been in education long enough, there's actually different generations of parents who grew up with different social media platforms being prominent in different levels of technological understanding in your school system. So if you think about it, my parents at one end of the spectrum have a 10-year difference from the parents at the other side of the spectrum. So trying to get parents to engage and trying to use social media as a district, we're now having to try to reach out to parents at multiple platforms in different modes. Some generation of parents, they don't ever look at email anymore. And then at the other end, people are looking at Facebook. So it's really kind of an interesting challenge when you think about it, about trying to have content and trying to attract people who have different expectations for how they're going to receive that information.
So well said. I mean, here's what I heard. Some parents are preferring some forms of communication, some are preferring other ones. And I bet as soon as you told me, I had like a red flag in my head, because as soon as you told me some prefer Facebook, that's the wild, wild west of rumors and such from what we hear from districts. And parents, we love you, but we also want you to go straight to the district to hear the truth. If you heard something about what's happening in the classroom, your principal or counselor would love to hear from you directly. But for those that want to hear it on Facebook or social media, do you also have some way of like communicating through text or email that you can just disseminate information to all the parents?
Yeah, and the reality is we have to use multiple methods all at once. If it's an incredibly important message that we need to get out, it is text, it is phone call, it is social media, it is email, all of those all at once.
Yes.
I think the challenge when you come down to actual engagement, say something that is not emergency, like a weather closure or something like that, maybe we want to talk about a budget meeting. Trying to get the word out, that's where it becomes tough, because as you know, and you preach, the social media algorithms are trained to show certain things and not necessarily the message I'm trying to get to people. Even my staff are trying to figure out, how do I manipulate the algorithms to ensure the parents get the message we want to send out?
So well said. Have you guys ever found in your parent engagement evening events or any events you host, have you ever done a combined event where you get parents to come and celebrate their kid because they're doing a recital or something, and then you do we call it a little bait and switch, where there's an announcements for the first 5 minutes. Hey, remember, we got a budget meeting or this or that, or maybe there's pizza at an event.
Sure.
So more people come. Like, what are some of your techniques you've heard about getting parents on campus or to participate?
Sure, yeah, that's absolutely a way to get attention. In fact, one of the recent meeting that we did, there was a fair, but rather than even ask people to come to us, we would literally just walked around with flyers in our hand and invited to have a conversation. I probably talked to more parents that night than I would have if I had invited them all to the cafeteria. And so, that just different techniques. We actually found some moderate success in just doing completely 100% virtual. So many parents in my community are driving on Highway 290 back from Austin from their jobs. They have to fight the traffic. They don't really want to beeline to go to an event in the evening to hear me, but they willing to just sit at home, open their phone and watch it on a Facebook Live perhaps. And so we've got, and to actually turn on the two-way feature where we can actually take questions and have a little bit of interaction. I think that's important also. So we're having to evolve. We have to evolve along with the technology and along with the needs of our families.
So well said. So for all of our listeners right now, I want to give you a little tiny excerpt and get the superintendent's input on this. This is from one of our major events. Every single month, we have different events, as you'll see at smartsocial.com. Major themes. Anti-bullying is in October. We have AI for student success, and we've got Sneaky Ways video apps keeps teens watching, and about 10 other ones. This is all about understanding the subtle ways that video apps will keep teens captivated. The algorithm will learn strategies as a team to help them balance the screen time. One of the biggest questions we get in this evening event is, Josh, what are some tips to help my team manage their screen time? A lot of superintendents over the years have told me, Josh, if we can reduce screen time addiction, then a lot of these problems go away. I mean, that seems like it starts it all. If the phone was boring, we wouldn't be having this podcast. Let's hear from two students, two real teenagers in high school with tips on how to reset screen time.
I just try to hold myself accountable about how much time I'm spending, because you can get lost really easily. While you're doing it, you think 30-second videos, what's the harm in that? But then when you've lost 4 hours out of your day, you feel a lot of regret. Why would I spend 5 hours scrolling on this app before bed when I could have been getting more sleep or being more productive throughout my day? My mom, she always lets me know when I'm just dead scrolling on TikTok for hours. Like, she usually tells me how long it's been. You should probably get up and go do the things that you need to do. So besides holding yourself accountable, it's really helpful if you have a parent or someone that cares about you to hold you accountable for how much time you're losing on those video apps.
Some techniques I use to stop myself from getting sucked into social media is being very aware of why I'm on there, as well as understanding how it's addictive. Even though it can be fun to just sit on my phone and scroll and immerse myself in it, keeping in mind the things I need to do and setting aside the time to do that rather than falling into it like a trap.
So Katie and Allie, you just saw, are part of our teen internship program. And not only did they have to dive into answering the questions that we give them, but also they had to ask a bunch of their friends. So they kept their friends safe. They thought about some of these problems, and they're now more aware of that. Their little bubble at school is, their community safer, and they have key takeaways. It's not only hold yourself accountable, it's ask a parent, if you will, to hold you accountable, which I think is so great. Parents, you can learn more by clicking below to learn about that teen internship where kids actually learn what questions to ask their friends, and they become better at presenting themselves. Parents seem to be raving about that feature as well. Okay, parents, here's some questions you can screenshot, and then we're going to ask the superintendent to fill in where I might have missed out. Here's some questions you can ask your teen to have an open conversation and help them evaluate the quality of their screen time. Feel free to use these on the car ride home or to school. A lot of kids like to sit shoulder to shoulder, and we'll open up a little bit more, or maybe around the dinner table if you ever wanted to open them up there. Perhaps you could ask, how do you feel after your screen time? Does that app or activity make you feel stronger or weaker after 1 hour? I think that's a really interesting delimiter right there, 1 hour. What screen time activities and apps make you feel stronger? Really opening the kid up, like, you know what, 3D printing, or when I go on a bike ride or something, just getting them to open up to recognize that. What activities make you feel more focused or relaxed? And how much time do you think is healthy on this app, or so on? Superintendent, what are some dialogue starters you've used in your community, or you're constantly telling parents as a frequently asked question?
Well, and since I'm a parent of 3 teens now, I can tell you one great question I always ask is, what did you not do because you were on social media? What did you miss out on? It really makes them stop to think, oh, well, I guess I could have done these things. And so they get to have some sort of evaluation of their time and cost benefit analysis. The other favorite one I like to ask is, so what did you learn while you were on there? And they're smart. They realize, well, that was kind of useless what I learned. And so those are a couple of the ones I like to use.
I like that a lot. And you know what, parents, this is a good key takeaway. The superintendent subtly did something that's genius. There's no yes or no answer to those. It's an open-ended question. The kids have to go, they have to think. Parents, if you ever, here's another pro tip. I used to work at Disney brand marketing back in the day, and that's how I launched Smart Social, is Finding Nemo, Pirates of the Caribbean. All these big brands crossed my desk. I'm so grateful at a young age. And those marketers always taught us that if you said, hey, can I get 5 minutes with you? People are programmed to say no. Like, no, you can't do that, right? And as an executive, which a superintendent would. But if I ask the superintendent something off, but it can't be answered with a yes or no, hey, can I have 4 minutes with you to ask you a question? And then all of a sudden goes something different, like you don't know how to say no, or the different. So how we ask the question can maybe get our kids to open up. I love that. What did you miss out on because of social media? I think that opportunity cost, or lost, if you will, is brilliant. And what did you learn when you were on social media? That's great. Are there any other ones that maybe it's less about social media? Do you have any other pro tips on when you're asking your 3 teenagers about talking with strangers online? That's a really big thing.
You know, my favorite is, and when my kids were a little bit younger, I think it was more important. They would come to me and talk about their friend that they had. I said, "Oh, okay. Tell me about your friend. What do you know about them?" And they really began to realize I don't really know much about this person. I was like, "Oh, that's great. So why do you consider that person a friend then if you don't really know anything about them?" And it really began to, I think, make them think critically about what is a friend. And so then they began that process of comparing, okay, this person I know online, this person I know in real life. I know a lot about this person, and I don't know much about this person. So why am I calling this person a friend?
Absolutely. And you know what's also genius about what you're saying too is what we're encouraging you parents and guardians to do is to let your kids know that mom and dad's wisdom belongs online too. It's not just, oh, this is a different world. Mom and dad don't get this world. That same wisdom can be everywhere. And we're probing, getting them to think critically about that. I want to ask you one last question. And it's really the hottest question out there right now. What would be your suggestion to parents to best manage these new tools called AI tools, these chat bots where kids are chatting with other things, or maybe kids are trying to figure out how to write the essay the lazy way? We all want kids to improve learning, reduce cheating, but also use these new tools. What a gray area. What a difficult balance. What's some of your advice you're giving to people?
I think AI is a tool of the future. It is. Even in my workplace, in my professional job, I've started using AI. There's a lot of things that it's very good for. So I think your first step is you don't come right at them and say, hey, you need to stop using that, because any teenager is going to start doing it more if you tell them don't do it. I, and a great entry is just to ask, hey, in my job, how could I use AI? What would it do for me? And let them start talking about it. And that launches you into a great conversation on what is it appropriate for using and what is it not appropriate for using. Because in my world, there are things I shouldn't be using AI for, and there are things that I absolutely. In a student's world, it's the same concept. School, in some ways, is your practice for your future job. And so evaluating what is AI good for and what is it not is a great conversation starter. I'll leave with one thing. I have a college daughter who she was trying to get a job, and she reached out to me and said, hey, can you review this email I'm writing to get this job? And so I read it and I said, you used AI for this, didn't you? She said, how did you know? And I said, look, the same people who are reading these are reading the same emails from other people, and they're looking for something that makes you stand out. And now using AI doesn't make you stand out. It makes you part of the crowd. And so it was a great conversation about where's your voice in this letter. They want to hire a person, not an AI bot. And that was a great lesson for someone who is just entering the workforce.
Yeah, so true. And also, I like what you said as well, because now you're telling your child to, hey, you can use the tool a little bit, but you have to rewrite this as a human to make it clearer, 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 clearer. We're seeing so many teachers writing individual education plans. Beautiful. So they can spend more time with the kids, they can save time there, but they still have to reiterate it and fine tune it as a human that
Absolutely.
cares so much about the kid's future, right? And I think for all the parents right now, if you're intimidated, go try ChatGPT, the free version.com, and come to one of our parent workshops. They're incredible. They're very interactive. We'll teach you how to take a picture of your refrigerator or put the ingredients in, and it'll teach you how to make a couple amazing dinner meals on a whim. That's easy. It'll give you ideas and all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a million ways to use it that are fun, that aren't cheating, that actually open up your creativity, that you can brainstorm in the middle of the night. Like, am I missing something? Do I have a blind spot on this idea? It's phenomenal. And also the excitement that we have at Smart Social is there a way that it turns every parent into a world-class tutor at home? Kids are spending a lot of time with you at home, parents. And I think there's a lot of chances if you don't know calculus, much like I've forgotten that, there's a way for now AI to be a world-class expensive tutor for just about free to help your kid get through that. Superintendent, am I missing anything?
No, and I think that you bring up a fantastic comment there. Used to be that when I was helping my kids in math, it was all going to YouTube. Now you've got an AI that can help you even more than a YouTube video. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I can go to the steps and do all that stuff. On that note, hey, Superintendent, you're a busy person. You've taken an hour out of your time today to spend time with us, to share with our audience. I really want to thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. This has been fun. It's been informative, and I'm excited for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. For all of our audience, remember, it's all about keeping your kiddos safe. Let's spend time looking over their shoulder. It's kind of like training wheels on the bicycle. Let's be there for them if they're about to fall. Let them make little mistakes, but online is a totally different world. We want to get them to be successful, and that means shining online. And whenever you're posting, parents, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because your kids are watching and modeling what you do online. I'm Josh Oakes, the founder of smartsocial.com and the host of this podcast. I'm grateful for your time here today. We are rooting for you here at Smart Social. We are your cheerleaders and here doing the difficult things that it takes for difficult parenting to keep your kids safe. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.